Kobe's school day today, and I brought Sid along as well, and we've got Frank. So plenty of speed, and throwing the feisty little terrier into the mix as well, just to keep it interesting, just to really test Kobe's behaviour. And so for those of you that are sort of familiar with Kobe, I started working with him towards the end of last year when he was I think 9 months old, 9 months old. Anyway, doing really well. Very strong, very excitable, full on, you know, a little bit more full on than normal. And so we started working with that. We were doing great. He was making huge progress, really clued up, clever guy. Give him a job to do, give him direction, and he was on it. Then his testosterone kicked in, and we had a character transplant to the point where it was very tense, very unpredictable, and I couldn't actually have him with my boys anymore, because Roscoe basically told me with Kobe's behaviour that, you know what, this guy's too unbalanced, too unpredictable, not safe. So it was a case of waiting until he was castrated and give him a month to get all that out of his system, and then we start again. So he's been with me I think 4 times now, and this might be the 4th time, 4 or 5 times. I do lose track. I'm ever so sorry. I really do lose track of all the different dogs I have, how often I've had them, and their ages and stuff. I do, when I'm out walking, I do tend to lose track. It's all written down at home, not necessarily retained in the head when I'm out walking. Anyway, so he's great. He's back to the old Kobe. He's back to being fun-loving and following direction again. Keen to have a job. Poor Sid, he can't see above this grass. And gradually what I've done is I brought Kobe out with Roscoe to check his behaviour and his reactions to other dogs, and then introduced my lot individually, then all together, just really working on making sure I've got Kobe's attention so I can direct him to the right way to behave. But he really has, it's not that he forgot anything that we'd done prior to his hormones sending him cuckoo. He's retained all that, and today he's out with Frank. Frank's Mr. Speed Freak. If anything is going to trigger a dog, it will be Frank, and Frank is also very, very rough with the play, very rough. So Frank is not for the faint-hearted. So if anything's going to create a negative response, it's going to be Frank, and we've got no negative response. It's wonderful. Also got little Sid here, so I'm going to just muscle in a little bit on Kobe's school day and give you an update on Sid. So Sid's my little rescue dog. I only went up to pick him up and drop him off at a foster home, and I ended up keeping him. When I got there, the situation he was in, the lack of information on him showed complete neglect, and his condition was atrocious. So he was absolutely petrified. Now, when a dog is still and they remain, you know, completely static, it doesn't mean they're petrified to the point where they can't move out of terror. Okay, with Sid, that actually was the case. So the difference with that stillness with a dog, so he will be still to communicate to another dog that he's not interested, he doesn't want to play, he doesn't want to be a part of whatever's going on, or he's letting the other dog know this is a behaviour I don't like. The dog will be still. He will completely blank the behaviour of an unwanted dog, the unwanted behaviour. They ignore it for the most part. With Sid, yes, he was still and there was no response, but the poor guy had dropped to the floor, his tail was stuck between his legs, his eyes were bulging, and he was shaking with terror. He was shaking with terror at being outside. He'd clearly never been on a lead, he'd never seen traffic, he'd never seen dogs. The whole world was terrifying. When I first brought him out for a walk, you could hear the birds singing, and he was completely flummoxed as to where the noise was coming from. He just didn't get it, didn't know what to do. And now, 5 weeks later, here he is. So he's really followed Roscoe's calm leadership energy, really built his confidence. Dogs can do so much more than what we can do. If you can let your dog socialise and be around a calm, stable dog, the progress will just be so much more, well, it will just be far better, far quicker, and there'll be no kind of backtracking, there'll be no mixed messages. This is dogs, they know how to communicate with each other. So Roscoe, bless him, does far more than what I can ever do. And that's how we've got Sid to where he is at this short moment in time. So to a really happy, balanced boy. And yeah, needless to say, I couldn't part with him once I'd gone through the initial couple of weeks with him and really saw how he was. And it was clear as well that the poor guy had never really been in a house. So at night time, wouldn't settle in the house for a good week. There were no settling at night at all. So we're now past all that. He's got his own bed. It's only since sort of the middle of last week he started using his own bed instead of snuggling up to Roscoe for the safety. So all these little stages are all really clear indicators that he's you know, the turnaround in him is just incredible. Dogs are amazing. Doesn't matter what you do. I hear so many people say, oh, it's a rescue dog, it's a rescue dog. Okay, being a rescue dog is no excuse for bad behaviour or unwanted behaviour. Okay, it's not that the dogs are naughty. This way. Being a rescue is, like I say, no excuse for unwanted behaviour. You can't keep up with them and he barks to try and keep up with them. And being a rescue doesn't mean that they can never be rehabilitated and then they can never be back to being a balanced, happy dog. Alright? So if you have a rescue dog and it's got some issues, give me a call, because there is no reason for a dog to stay either antisocial, aggressive, reactive, nervous on the lead. There's no need for it. We can work through it. Doesn't matter how old the dog is and doesn't matter what it's experienced. So on that note, that's Sid for you. Totally socialised, comfortable with other dogs. Typical terrier. Yeah, he's bolshy. He really pushes the boundaries. He has no fear and no pain barrier whatsoever. So the big dogs can push him about and he just comes bouncing back. It makes no difference to him. It's great. No issues at all. So going back to Kobe, seeing it is actually Kobe's school day. This is the first walk of the day. This is when I generally do the video in. It is easier for me to do the video in when I've not got them all on a lead, obviously. And I'm going to get this first burst of energy. Still do a little bit of the recall. What I'm going to do is, because he's quite strong on the lead still, is, well, hit and miss with the lead. Some days he walks beautifully and other days he can be really strong. Again, the thing to remember is, although he's past his 12 months, what was he, 14 months old now? And mentally, he's still very, very immature. So you're still going to have good days and bad days. You're still going to have days when he follows your direction, follows instruction, and is calm. And then you're going to have other days when you think, oh, what's happened? You know, he's pulling, he's reactive, he's all excitable. It's part of the maturing process, and he's still very, very immature mentally. The bigger the dog, the longer it takes for them to mature. So I'm going to do just little bits and bobs of lead work with him. Call him to me, put him on the lead. In fact, I did this yesterday actually with Cooper and Willow, so I'll do this now with him if I get the lead out. Okay. There you go, my darling. Beautiful. Now he sits down. Now when the dog sits down of his own accord, that shows me his head is in that submissive mode. That's what I want. Okay. Submissive mode means he's listening to me, he's ready to take direction. So he's on the lead now, the others are off the lead. Frank, Sid, and little Kobe. Okay, so this is the structured walk. So I'm going to break up his walk today. His socialisation's great. I'm not bothered about that. And this afternoon I will do a walk, probably around Conkers or somewhere like that where there are other dogs. But like I say, there's no problem. He meets other dogs and then he comes away from them. So he's all right in that respect. But I'll take him there on his own. So it's, you know, he doesn't have my dogs to, you know, to sort of encourage him to stay. Where's he gone? Oh, I thought Frank was eating something and he's not. Okay. So Frank's just gone whizzing by. That's the time when we're going to get the worst out of Kobe on a lead. And I just give him the sound. And what I'm trying to do is pull and drop. Pull and drop. I'm looking for that slack. That slack part is the learning part for the dog. That's when they get it in their head. Constant pull, and they will constantly pull against you. Okay, that's it. Looking for that slack there. Okay, good. So I'm going to carry on with this. Off lead, on lead, off lead, on lead. And then this afternoon I'll take him on his own and we'll go around areas where there are more dogs. And I'm going to work at getting this nice relaxed bit of the lead while them two are running about. Hey, okay, have a good day.